Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United transfer news, sponsored by the Unibet vlog. The link is in the video description for that. Really good articles, breaking news, transfer news throughout the day. Do give it a read on the Unibet vlog. Some really good articles about Manchester United for you to read if you don't get enough from us on the United Stand. And we are approaching now, it's the last Monday. It's the last Monday of the transfer window. We're moving into that territory now. And I think United need to move through the gears. And if we hadn't done the show last night, which many will have watched, and we, none of that breaking news last night that the Dybala deal was off, that we're not in for Bruno Fernandez, if none of those things had happened last night, and this was just now, we'd be going, well, Bruno Fernandez has played his last game for Sporting. He's going to leave. When's that going to get announced? And Dybala for Lukaku, when's that going to get announced? Are they dead in the water? Let's start off. First of all, Harry Maguire's going to get announced at some point, isn't he? But is the Dybala and Bruno Fernandez deal dead in the water? And is there anywhere for us to go in the next 3 days to bring players into the massive hole that we have in our midfield? Well, let's start off with Dybala. Di Marzio is a credible Italian journalist. What he is in relation to other news relating to maybe Bruno Fernandez from Sporting to United, maybe he isn't as credible as he used to be, but with Italian news, he's a credible journalist. And he's basically saying about the Dybala deal that Inter are back into the fray, which would mean money, outright money. Does that help us? Does 70 million for Lukaku help us on the last Monday of the transfer window? It helps the Glazers' pocket, it helps the net spend come down, it helps their profit lines, but if we don't reinvest it, it doesn't help us. Juventus swapping Lukaku for players may not have been the ideal scenario in May for us fans, but now, at this late stage, we need players. We need quality players coming in. So if you're saying to me, what would I prefer, £70 million from Inter Milan or Dybala from Juventus, I'd still rather have Dybala, because that at this late stage, we need players and we need quality players. Di Marzio is basically saying that Inter are back in. The Dybala thing isn't necessarily over, but it's becoming further and further far away, and Juventus may look at other players that they can offer to United. Well, I look at Juventus and what they might offer us, and Diego Costa, maybe Alexandro, but we've got a left back in Luke Shaw, so let's just keep our eye on that. I think the positive thing is that it really does still feel like Lukaku will go, and I think that has to happen. We can't keep Lukaku at the club now. I think he's burnt his bridges, and we need to move on from Lukaku. So, look, let's see what happens today. It's going to be a big deal around the Dybala thing, around the Lukaku thing, and time is running out. So things need to start progressing with that. With regards to Bruno Fernandez, look, the situation, the hotometer is back on the left-hand side. I should have introduced that before. The way the hotometer works, and the way it's worked all transfer window, is I give my top 7 players that I think we're going for at this any given moment, and I mark it out of 10. So Harry Maguire, 9 out of 10. Really, he should be 10 out of 10 because it's a done deal. Bruno Fernandez, 7. I'm 70% sure. I think a lot of people would be lower than that. But I said all along, I will go down with the ship Bruno Fernandez. I always felt that he was the priority for United. I still do. I think that what's happening with United at the moment is that they're not going to sign Bruno Fernandez, so they're putting it out there that they've never been in for him. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. And you can believe whatever you want to believe, but I don't believe that, because United need midfielders. And there is this theory that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is obsessed with players coming in who want to play for this club, and that might be why that we're not going for Dybala anymore. Bruno Fernandez would want to come to Manchester United. It's a massive step up from Sporting Lisbon. He would want to come to United. The interesting thing about Fernandez, though, is Spurs heavily linked to Lo Celso from Real Betis last night again. And I always did feel that Pochettino wanted Lo Celso. He's got Ndombele. Are you telling me that Spurs are going to sign Ndombele, Lo Celso and Bruno Fernandez? Because if they do, that's a stunning transfer window. And if they do that, it's a terrible situation for us. I can't see that happening. So if Spurs do get Lo Celso, who's getting Fernandez? Surely he's not staying at Sporting Lisbon. Surely that deal is there to be done. And surely we're not going to walk away from it because we don't want to spend another 60 million. Which, I was speaking to someone last night and they said, you've got to consider that scenario. United have spent 80 million on Harry Maguire, 50 million on Wan-Bissaka, 15 million or 20 million on Daniel James. That's 150 million. If they buy Bruno Fernandez for 60, that's 210 million. What if United don't have 210 million to spend? What if they don't want to spend any more than 150? And that brings us back to where I think we've always been with this. United and spending money. It's not about getting back to the top. It's about getting as high as you can, and fourth will do, with a limited transfer budget. Very interesting when you look at United's transfer window over the last 3 or 4. We did spend about 70 million last summer, but we sold Daley Blind and a keeper, so it was about a £50 million net spend. We didn't spend anything in January. We sold Fellaini for about 10, so that's 40 million off that. But then if you go back to the previous January, we sold Schneiderlin and Memphis Depay for about 50. So actually, over the last few transfer windows, we've been in profit, and that's basically what Manchester United's all about. Sean Longstaff's on there. I mean, look, how do you value a player that's only played 9 games for Newcastle? He is not worth any more than 25 million, but Newcastle don't want to sell him. Will United make that move? Because when I look at it, if we're not going to get Dybala and we're not going to get Bruno Fernandez, what are we going to do this week? We can't just do nothing. The midfield is not good enough. And what if Pogba forces a move? I mean, we could end up in a disaster class. So we've got to make a move for somebody this week. And if it's not going to be those players that we want it to be, who else is there out there? I mean, you look at the Hotometer, Mandzukic features. He's a striker. He's not a midfielder. Longstaff, Milinkovic-Savic, Bale, Yedder. I can't see Bale coming at all now. Yedder, I think maybe he was just a story that's fizzled out. But Milinkovic-Savic, he is available from Lazio, but it's gone very quiet on that. And as we know with United, can United go from quiet to deal done in 3 days? It would be extraordinary for us to do that. Sean Longstaff is a player that Manchester United have been very interested in all transfer window. And the feeling is that it's gone cold as well. Newcastle are not open to selling. But would United go in with a stupid offer to get a deal done that Ollie wants to get done? I don't feel that Longstaff is unrealistic because it's a player we all know we're interested in. It may well have gone cold, but I think we could put it in the microwave and get it hot again. But we would have to pay silly money. I think we'd have to pay 30, 35, maybe even 40 million for him. So going into this week is very, very difficult. Which is why I have to stick with the Bruno Fernandez story, because it's just not logical that we're not going to sign a midfielder. It isn't logical. And he is, and always has been, the obvious priority signing all summer. So that's why I still have to stick with that deal, because if it's not him, I don't see who it's going to be. Maybe Longstaff. There is even talk that Spurs could go Lo Celso, Bruno Fernandes and Dembele, then sell Eriksen to United. Look, Christian Eriksen's a good player, and I think at Manchester United he would be a good signing. But is he better than Bruno Fernandes? Possibly, because he's Premier League proven. He's not massively old now. I think he's 26, 27. But I think Christian Eriksen, it would be a weird signing because, yeah, he's better than Mata, but there's similarities with Mata. There's similarities with Angel Gomez. So I can't... And also, Eriksen leaving Spurs for Manchester United wants a new challenge. He better be a massive Manchester United fan with pictures of Marcus Rashford and Anthony Martial on his wall, because you don't leave Spurs to come to United at the moment. It just doesn't correlate. So... unless he wants money. And then if he wants more money, because Spurs have got a tight wage rate structure under Daniel Levy, then that contradicts what we're doing with Dybala. Because surely I think Eriksen would only come to United for money. I don't think he's going to come to Manchester United because he wants to play for Manchester United, because even I, as a United fan, can see he's in a better situation at Spurs. So I don't. And also, again, how can you do Eriksen? Spurs are notoriously hard to deal with. How could you get Eriksen done in 3 days? Again, I'm searching like everybody else is searching, because I don't think we want to open our eyes up to the reality that we might not sign a midfielder. And to go, this is not. People will say, well, maybe we can limp till Christmas and then in January we can sign a midfielder, but that's not how it works. The January transfer window doesn't work like that. You don't get quality signings in the January transfer window. So thinking that we've got to go into a whole season of playing nearly 60 games when you add the 38 Premier League to the Cups and the Europa League, with a midfield of Matic and Pogba and McTominay and Fred and Pereira, I just think, wow, we are in trouble, and we're a lot weaker than we were last year because Herrera was a decent midfielder. But the funny thing is, I always go back to January and when Matic, Herrera and Pogba played really well, and we were all saying that midfield's as good as any midfield in Europe at the moment. They were performing really, really well. If we can just get top four and then add a couple of midfield, a bit of depth to that midfield, we can build on that. What's actually happened is we didn't manage to get to the summer because we didn't have the depth in the midfield when the injuries happened. Then we lost Herrera as well. But then they expect us to go into this season with a weakened midfield that wasn't strong enough last year and has now lost Herrera. And this is where we get kidded and mugged off as fans, because we get sort of doused in hope spray and yeah, we'll be fine, we've got potential spray. But actually, most fans are actually quite clever and remember recent history. We've got to get a midfielder. So it's a confusing time. For anybody who doesn't know the story of Bruno Fernandez, Simon Stone, who's a credible Tier 1 journalist with the BBC, he said that Bruno Fernandez is not on the list. He backtracked a little bit and said, look, to be honest, no one at United have ever said anything about Bruno Fernandez to me, and every other club I've spoken to, they've said no as well. So, Judgment Day is Thursday. We judge the transfer window then. Sat here right now, I'm probably more confused than I've ever been about what is going on at our club. Dybala was always a big bonus Galactico signing. The midfield was the area that we needed to address. And let's be honest, I think we all say we need two midfielders. We need a CDM as well. I mean, we're clearly not gonna get that. And I just think that maybe the first few games of the season, you get a bounce, you get a bit of positivity, the new fitness, the new approach on the front foot will help us. But we're not playing schmucks. We're playing Chelsea, who have got a good midfield. We are then playing Wolves away, who have got a good midfield. We could win both those games. In the long term, I think we'll struggle. But we could also lose those first two games because our midfield isn't that good. And that's what we're going into. And these people, I just have these people in the back of my head who said, Ollie's going to get sacked by Christmas. And I've never really believed it. But I'm starting to think, with that midfield not reinforced, why am I not thinking we're going to have a bad season? It's tough. And that's why today, tomorrow, Wednesday, and whatever there is on Thursday are massive days for Manchester United. And I think by the hour, we're going to have roller coaster. But things need to start happening today. It cannot be, Harry Maguire's officially announced today, let's take the rest of the day off. Tomorrow, let's announce De Gea's new contract and take the day off. And then Wednesday, Thursday, let's go to Alton Towers. United have got to be on it, this transfer window. Anyway, please, of what's left of it, please do smash a like on the video, everybody. Make sure you subscribe if you're new. Fantastic show last night. I'm sure we're going to be live a lot today. Harry Maguire at some point will probably be the next video. And hopefully we'll have some breaking news around some developments. I mean, I'm very interested on what's going to happen with Bruno Fernandez, because if he's not coming to us, where's he going to go? Where have we messed this up to? Please also give a read of the Unibet vlog. The link is in the video description. Really good articles there on Manchester United, breaking news all the time. Go and give that a read while you're on your train to work or wherever. And I'll speak to you all soon. Thanks for watching.